want him looking that way? You okay?
Doesn't matter. Is everybody ready? Okay, well, I wanted to just invite you all in to answer any questions that you might have, because I got several inquiries this afternoon about the president's new executive action that he's wanting to take on gun laws. So I'll just open it up for any questions and we can go from there.
How will this affect our gun shows here in Springfield, Missouri? Or will it have any impact on it at all?
Well, if going by what the brief that I received from the White House is that would regulate every gun show. Everyone that would sell more than 2 guns would have to be a dealer.
Who keeps track of, do you have any involvement in those licenses and those background checks? Will this bring more work for your department?
No, it doesn't. One thing that is concerning about this whole thing, other than the $5 million here and the $2 million there and another 10 million different places, is that the bottom line, it's not the guns, it's the violent acts of people that cause this issue. And instead of the president focusing on gun control, it'd be nice if he focused on violent criminal control, because that's the issue that we have. That's the common denominator. I have not yet met a violent gun, but I have met very many violent offenders that utilize guns. Same way with drunk driving, because we track vehicles that are using drunk driving crashes does not mean that we outlaw Chevrolet pickups. You know, we need to go after the drunk driver. We need to go after the offender. Locally, we need finances. Instead of putting $5 million into more ATF agents to track the offenses that the deputy sheriff makes the arrest on the street, let's put the money down to local government, local law enforcement, to work on boots on the ground. Because it's the deputies, it's the police officers that do the work every day that are encountering people that obtain guns illegally. Burglaries, stealings, robberies, that's where the criminals are getting the guns.
Do you think those measures that he's enacting will keep guns out of the hands of more criminals? Do criminals get guns now?
No, I don't. That's the bottom line, is the criminals that we run across are the ones that are obtaining guns illegally. They are not going and getting the proper licensing and going through. You may have some that are rejected, but the vast majority are stolen from burglaries and dealt amongst drug dealers to obtain. As I said, let's go after the violent offenders, not the guns. That's not what's committing the crimes. It's the people utilizing them.
I imagine this is probably going to create a security versus privacy issue as well, because, you know, the types of things that will be available to see during background checks now. Do you know yet how that's going to work? I mean, will it be like medical records available included in that, or do you know yet?
You know, it's a great question. Let's kind of pick that apart. You look at what is released in this White House press release. They're talking about obtaining more information on people with mental illnesses through the Social Security Administration. The majority of information that is utilized is obtained at a local level. The FBI, the ATF, is not going to have information about the Joe Blow that lives in Greene County, Missouri, out in the rural areas that deputies repeatedly deal with that we know has a mental health condition. There is no database that tracks that. Who tracks that? Local law enforcement. That's why I say you need to put your efforts, put your resources towards those issues. So how are they going to track that? Are we going to get into repealing all HIPAA laws or changing some of those so they're more accessible to law enforcement? And then where does it end? Where does your privacy concerns come in on your health issues compared to what's public safety? I don't have a good idea, but I can tell you from a local law enforcement officer, we are the ones that knows our community. We are the ones that should be taking care of those issues and maybe reporting some of that, but money has to trickle down from the federal government for us to do that. let's take one issue that we know very well in Greene County. That is an issue in our law enforcement, and that's the jail. The jail's full. If we had another 1,000 beds, could we put more people in jail? You bet we could. Could we get more guns off the street, illegal guns off the street, and the violent people that are utilizing? You bet we could. But we don't get any federal money to build a jail. But the federal government's pretty good about pushing money back into the federal government to some more programs. $500 million into mental health that doesn't describe what is that going to do for gun control, or what's that going to do for gun violence.
Is it clear yet how they are even defining mental illness? I mean, you know, what will be included in making someone mentally ill when you go to their background check? I mean, has that been declared?
Absolutely not. You know, you got what I got, you know, and it is very vague. And what is going to determine that? Our military veterans that come back with PTSD, is that a mental illness? Is it a defining mental illness that's going to keep you from getting a gun? I hope not. Law enforcement officers have PTSD also. There's a lot of things that we need to look at. Instead of putting more laws and more money into gun control, let's put our money and invest into trying to change some of these behaviors, and also trying to enforce the laws that we have already. That's the problem, is we can't enforce the laws we have already. Now we're throwing money at an issue that it's not defined. It's very vague, as you all can see.
As more citizens are able to conceal and carry and are purchasing more guns, what do they need to do to make sure that their guns are protected from falling into the hands of people that shouldn't have them, if that's how criminals are obtaining guns?
Well, if you're going to get a carry concealed license, I would hope you're carrying it on you, so you'll know if your gun is missing. That's the big thing we need to get the message out. I'm an advocate for concealed carry. Go through the course, purchase a gun, keep it on yourself, protect you and your family. That's what we need to do. Those are the responsible citizens that are going to have to suffer with more gun control laws, jumping through more hoops. They're willing to do it, but why should we push it down when really the ones that are committing the crimes are not following any of those rules in the first place?
How good of a background check system is available? I don't do background checks on people that are buying a gun, but do you know what kind of systems are available? Is there a good nationwide one that all these gun dealers will be able to utilize?
Well, they would like to say that NICS, the National Information Center that they use, is a system that works. And honestly, I can tell you, because we do carry concealed permits, that I deny people that have already purchased a gun because they have a mental illness that we've dealt with, and we know that. I mean, the example I'm going back to, you know, yes, you can purchase a gun and you have a mental illness, but when the sheriff does a background check and finds out that deputies have been out to your house 3 times and you've been 96 houred, and you have some issues with firing your gun recklessly, you know, that NICS check didn't work. So there is a concern with that. As I said, push money to the local level, push money down to the sheriffs and police chiefs and the people that deal with it every day, so we can then deal with people in our community. We know what's best for our community. Another broad set of gray area gun laws is not going to help us with this problem.
You opened with a statement about the sale of 2 guns that would trigger this. As I read what the president said, anyone in the business of selling firearms must get a federal license and conduct background checks. Where does the 2 gun?
I read it in this brief. It says, it's somewhere in this brief where it says that kind of the definition of what a what it would be if you were in the business of selling firearms. It would be more than 2 guns, and it says it in here somewhere that I've read.
More than 2 guns in a certain time frame?
Well, it didn't say. So
I read an article about
It's in this brief that I was actually sent by the media, so it's in here, cause I just didn't pick them nowhere.
Do you know when the changes will even go into effect?
I don't, I guess we'll hear about it on the news, and that's how we feel, that's how we hear about most of these things, that, it's unfortunate that, the president wants to do this through executive order and, not through the proper way, I think, through Congress and the way our system is set up. So I'm hoping that the president will take a step back, actually get some experts in there, such as sheriffs, and police chiefs that deal on a local level with these issues, and get some input before we have a knee-jerk reaction and create more laws and spend more money on something that's not gonna fix itself.
As far as the impact to sheriff's departments across the nation, I mean, I know you said it really won't require much more work on your end. I mean, what kind of impacts will it have, if any?
Oh, it'd be huge. You just look at it will cause us work on the bottom end, and everything will flow down, because an ATF agent, an FBI agent makes an arrest, those arrestees go to the local jail. There is not some federal jail holding facility. So they come right here to the local jail, so that's gonna impact us. I'm not sure exactly what the president has in mind with his mental health and some of the enforcement issues. So I'm seeing that we're gonna be doing a lot more work that may not be for the benefit of our citizens.
You mentioned the mental health, you're kind of for that, it sounds like, and maybe you're not against his ideas so much as it's going at the federal level, it should be directed more at the local level, is that what you're saying?
Well, I just find it disappointing that the federal government always seems to push down some laws and some things. Everybody talks about it's a mental health issue, and they want to track mental health issues, but the federal government really doesn't have any way to do that. You know, you do not see ATF and FBI agents and Homeland Security, thank God, out on the street doing patrols and doing those types of things, and I'm not for that. But who does that is your local police and local sheriff's deputies are the ones that are doing that. So they're the ones that are encountering the mental ill on the streets of whatever jurisdiction. We're the ones that's gonna know who they are. I don't see how, as much money as you push at it, I don't see how they're gonna gather that information in the first place. Plus, they've limited us so much when they passed HIPAA that we can't even share certain information amongst each other, less than pass it up to the federal government. So I don't understand how they can accomplish what they wanna do.
What did you think about Obama's, he compared, I think it was Vermont, with more background checks, and Missouri, he said, has less background checks. Gun crimes went down in Vermont and went up in Missouri.
I don't know. I didn't follow that, so I'm not really sure. I guess we'd have to look and look over a 5-year period and kind of assess it and see, did they get a bunch of money for enforcement? There could be several different reasons why they would go up and or not. So I'd have to look at that to comment on it. Anybody else? Did I say too much? All right. Thanks everybody for
Thank
coming.
you.
Appreciate it.